Hey guys, Sheldon here, and this is a video about polishing paper. Now a couple of you have been requesting to see this for quite some time, and I did actually show it a little bit in part 7 and a little bit in part 8 of the Hidden Blade tutorial, but that was only for the Hidden Blade, so I'm just going to show you how to do this in general. So first of all, as you can see, I have 5 16-layer squares, and they were just cut 1 inch by 1 inch. If you'd like to know how to fold paper to get it to 16 layers so you can cut these pieces out like this, then you can go to the other video, how to stack hardened paper. It will be linked in the description. It will also be in the playlist that this video is in. So like I said, these were cut from 16 layer pieces like this, and I have 5 of them, so they're about 70 thousandths of an inch thick. What I'm going to do is glue these squares together, just like this, on top of each other, so it will create a thicker piece, just like that. You can use normal glue like this to glue these squares together, but you're probably going to have to wait a little bit for them to dry, so I recommend just using super glue, and it will be a lot faster. So I'm just going to apply some super glue to this square here, and you can find something like this to spread it around a little bit. You want this to be pretty even, and then you take another one of the squares and get it as centered as you can and just put it on top. After that, you just take some pliers and compress all of the layers together. This will help keep them together, obviously. It's pretty natural for these edges to not line up perfectly the first time, which is perfectly fine because we're going to be leveling all of that out. So now I'm going to take this square and glue it on here, and then this one and glue it on, and then this one and glue it on. Make sure they're all centered and everything. Alright, so now they're all glued together, and this is pretty much where the cutting and filling comes in. The first thing I would do is measure this and see if it's close to 1 inch. In this case, it's about 9 thousandths of an inch over. I'm probably going to have a separate how-to video for reading calipers, so how to read calipers, because I think that would actually be pretty helpful for you guys, because most of my builds use thousandths of an inch. So basically, since this is just a little bit over 1 inch on every side like this, that means I need to sand this down a little bit or file it with a file until I get it to the correct length. Okay, so the length in all directions is pretty much what it should be, as you can see right there. And now I need to put some super glue here on the sides, just like this, where the layers are, and basically find something to spread it around a little bit with. I just use old paper, and then compress the layers together, and this will make it a lot stronger. So I'm going to do that around all of the edges, and since it was a little bit bigger before I, sanded it and filed everything down a little bit, that means all of these edges match up just a little bit more than they originally did when I put them together, which is a good thing. So I'm just going to do this all the way around. After going around all of the edges with a little bit of super glue, you will definitely be able to see all of the low spots on here. You can use a pencil to help see where they all are. It's pretty easy to see on a small part. So now you can grab some baking soda, and I just put it in a Ziploc bag like this, and have some super glue. It doesn't really matter which brand it is, just make sure it isn't gel, because that doesn't work with baking soda. So basically look for all those low spots. I see a really pretty big low spot right there, and it will be pretty obvious because it doesn't feel smooth with your finger either. So just apply some super glue in that low spot or gap, just like that, and then take some baking soda and just sprinkle it over. just like that, and it solidifies pretty much instantly, so you don't have to worry about getting on your finger. Alright, so after you give it a little bit of time to dry, it solidifies instantly, but it doesn't necessarily dry completely instantly. So just wait a little bit, or else you might get some glue on your files and it might not be as effective. So after it's pretty much solid like this, you can easily carve it with your knife and you can get some of that top excess material off. And since it's completely dry, I'm going to use my file and start making it a little bit more flat and smooth. So it's a lot more smooth right now, as you can see, but there's a little low spot right there, so I'm just going to fill that up as well. And don't be fooled by the translucent appearance of the super glue and baking soda. Sometimes it can look like it's, you know, a lower spot when actually it's completely level. So now I'm just filling up the rest of the low spots. As you can see, most of this on the side is pretty smooth, and now I'm just working on this area right here. Now if this is like a really long piece, you know, like the wheel housing for the hidden blade, it just takes a little bit longer because it's a long distance, but with this it really doesn't take very long. So I'm just filing these flat. So all of the basic filing is done and everything's leveled out. So now you can take like some sandpaper or a sanding sponge like this and just go over the surface just to even it out and make everything a little bit more smooth. And it should help a little bit. And then after that you can increase the grit to probably around 400 grit, and you can even go higher up than that if you really want this to be very smooth and shiny. After using some high grit sandpaper, it should be a lot more smooth. You'll definitely be able to tell the difference. I usually take a paper towel or a tissue or some cotton swabs or cotton balls, something like that, and start going over the surface with it, and this will get rid of the extra baking soda that's on it, and this will polish it up a little bit. So this is a very smooth surface as it is right now, but if you really want it to be a little bit more smooth than this, I recommend using a polish wheel. This is what it looks like, and this isn't completely necessary. You can stick with this method. It all works pretty much the same. This just makes it a little bit more shiny. Obviously, if you're using something like this, be careful and take safety precautions and, you know, wear eye protection or something. You want to be careful. Alright, turning it on. Now finally, this looks pretty good. So this is usually what takes me the longest on all of my projects, but I would say this is well worth it. You know, even though it takes a long time to do, if you want high quality parts, you know, that work really well every time, then it's a great method to use. You can use all sorts of epoxy, resins, you know, stuff to fill it up and sand it down. That works just as well, but you know, if you like cheaper alternatives like me, then that's what I use. Anyway guys, so yeah, now I have a paper block. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm sure you'll see it in a project somewhere. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, a lot of you have been requesting to see it, so it's about time I did it. It just takes a long time to do. I even showed, you know, stacking these pieces up and everything like that, so hopefully this will be helpful to you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below or in a personal message, and be sure to subscribe if you would like to see the latest updates, and I'll see you guys later.